cold wind pushed across the empty highway as night fell over the small wooden tavern. The tavern stood alone between long fields and silent woods. No cars passed, no people walked. Only one man stayed awake inside. Evan, the human tavern keeper. Every night, Evan cleaned the same tables, wiped the same counter, and listened to the same old radio songs. But he was not waiting for customers. He was waiting for someone else. At exactly the same time each night, the tavern door opened with a slow creak. It opened again tonight. An old alien stepped inside. His name was Rather. His shoulders were bent from age, and his hands shook when he walked. His gray skin looked thin, almost like paper. His eyes glowed faintly blue from beneath a large hood that hid most of his face. He always wore that hood, afraid someone might see him. Evan looked up and gave a small smile. "Cold night again, old friend." Rather nodded, trying to smile back. He sat slowly at the same table he used every night, the one farthest from the windows. Evan brought him warm soup without asking. Rather accepted it with trembling fingers. For weeks, Evan fed him. For weeks, Rather never explained why he came. He ate little, spoke even less. But tonight, something felt different. There was fear in the alien's eyes. Real fear. Rather took one sip of the soup, and then whispered, almost too soft to hear, "They are close now, Evan. I cannot hide much longer." Evan froze. Who is close? Rather looked toward the door, then at the dark windows. "The ones who destroyed my home. The ones who hunt me. If they find me here, Earth may suffer." Evan felt a cold weight inside his chest. He had always wondered who Rather really was, but he had never pushed. Now he wished he had. Before he could ask anything more, the tavern lights flickered once. Then again. The radio cut out with a harsh buzzing sound. The ground vibrated slightly. Evan walked to the window and looked outside. Headlights glowed in the distance. The shape of a large vehicle moved slowly toward the tavern. Then a second vehicle appeared. Behind it, two black SUVs, big and heavy, rolling down the empty road at a slow, careful speed. They did not pass by. They stopped right in front of the tavern. Both engines remained on. But no one stepped out. The headlights pointed straight at the tavern door like eyes watching the target. Rather gripped the table weakly. His voice cracked. "They have found me." Evan's heart pounded hard. He turned off the main lights so the tavern became darker. Only the small candles on tables lit the room now. He moved to Rather. "What do they want from you?" Evan whispered. Rather's breath shook. "They want what is inside me. Something they must never get." Evan did not understand, but the fear in Rather's voice was enough. He helped the alien stand. "We need to hide you." Rather nodded, barely able to walk. Evan guided him toward the back room where boxes and old barrels were stored. Rather lowered himself behind a stack of crates, breathing hard. Evan closed the door halfway so he could still hear him. Outside, one SUV suddenly flashed its headlights twice. A signal. A door opened. A tall figure stepped out, moving slowly into the light. Evan's breath caught in his throat. It was not human. The figure wore black armor that shimmered like metal and stone mixed together. Its shoulders were broad, and its limbs long. Dark red lights pulsed across its helmet. It looked like a soldier from another world. A hunter. The armored alien walked toward the tavern, each step heavy. Evan hurried back to the front and pretended to sweep the floor. His hands shook, but he kept his face calm. The tavern door opened. The alien ducked inside, standing almost too tall for the frame. Its helmet turned left, then right, scanning the room. Then it spoke in a deep, cold voice. "Human, have you seen a week-old creature wearing a hood?" Evan forced a slow shake of his head. "No, it's just been a quiet night." The alien stared at him, silent. It felt like the helmet could see straight through Evan's skin. Suddenly, the alien leaned closer. Evan did not move. He did not blink. Finally, the armored hunter stepped back. It walked outside again. The door closed. Evan let out a shaky breath, but the danger was far from over. The SUVs still waited. More doors opened. More shapes moved inside. Evan looked toward the back room. Rather was whispering something. A warning. A truth. Something that would change everything. And the long night was only beginning. Asterisk. Evan locked the tavern door again and leaned against it, breathing hard. Outside, the two black SUVs stayed in the same place, engines humming like restless beasts. More figures were moving inside them, but none came out yet. It felt like they were waiting for something. Or someone. Evan rushed to the back room. Rather sat against the crates, his breath shaky and thin. His hood had fallen off, and for the first time, Evan saw his full face, old lines, pale glowing skin, and eyes filled with sorrow. "Are they gone?" Rather asked. "Not gone," Evan whispered. "Waiting, watching." Rather closed his eyes. "Then we have little time." Evan crouched beside him. "Tell me what they want. Tell me who they are." For a moment, Rather said nothing. He only stared at the dusty floor. Then his voice came weak but steady. "They are called the Iron Crown. They destroyed my world. They destroyed my people. And now they chase me across the stars." Evan felt a cold wave run up his spine. He had heard stories of alien wars on the news, rumors of fallen worlds. But he never imagined one of those victims was sitting in his tavern, eating soup from a chipped bowl. "Why you?" Evan asked. "Why chase an old man?" Rather lifted a shaking hand and touched the center of his chest. His fingers glowed faintly. "Blue. Because I carry something they want," he whispered. "Something ancient. Something powerful. Something that must never fall into their hands." A strange light pulsed under his skin like a heartbeat. Evan leaned closer. "What is that?" "A starseed," Rather said. "A living spark from the first suns. It can create life. Or destroy worlds. In the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon of endless fire." Evan stared, stunned. He could not believe this gentle old alien was carrying something so dangerous. Something that could burn planets. "Why come to Earth?" Evan asked. Rather looked at him with sad eyes. "Because humans are kind. They protect the weak. I hoped your world was far enough. Safe enough." Evan remembered how Rather always whispered thanks. How he trembled when anyone looked at him too long. How he ate quietly, like someone afraid to be noticed. "Why come to me?" Evan asked softly. Rather smiled weakly. "Because you did not fear me. You did not question me. You fed me without asking for anything. Kindness is rare in the galaxy. Evan, you are one of the few I could trust." Evan's throat tightened. He never thought simple kindness could pull him into something this big. A sudden metallic sound snapped both of them. Alert. Clack dash clack dash. Clack. Something hit the tavern roof. Heavy. Slow. Rather grabbed Evan's arm. "They have released the trackers." Evan's breath froze. "Trackers?" Rather nodded. "Machines that smell energy, smell fear, smell life." Another heavy thump hit the roof. Dust fell from the ceiling onto the floor. Evan peeked through the back window. His heart dropped. 3 small metal creatures crawled across the roof. They had 6 legs, glowing red eyes, and long antennae that scraped the wood. They looked like giant steel spiders. "They are searching for me," Rather whispered. "They will find the star seed." Evan looked around the tiny room. "We have nowhere to go." Rather's voice trembled. "Then listen carefully, Evan. You must decide soon. When my body fails, the star seed will choose a new host. If it dies with me, its power is lost forever." Evan swallowed hard. "Host? You mean me?" Rather nodded slowly. You have the heart for it. But it is painful. Dangerous. It may kill you. Evan shook his head. I'm not a hero. I run a tavern. I wash dishes. I'm nobody. Rather touched his hand gently. The galaxy is full of strong soldiers, Evan, but very few good men. Suddenly, the tavern lights flickered again. The spiders on the roof screeched. They're red. Eyes glowing brighter. Evan heard voices outside the door. More armored aliens were stepping out of the SUVs. Rather's voice broke. Evan, they are coming. The tavern walls shook as one spider dropped onto the front window. Evan stood up, fear turning into something sharper, something like courage. He looked at Rather. Whatever happens, Evan said, I won't let them take you. Rather's eyes softened. For the first time, he looked hopeful, but outside, more shadows gathered. Footsteps echoed on the ground. Weapons glowed. The hunt had truly begun. The scratching on the roof grew louder, sharper, like metal claws carving the wood. Evan looked toward the ceiling as dust rained down. Rather's breathing turned fast and uneven. They will break in soon, Rather whispered. Evan moved to the front of the tavern. The windows shook from the pressure of the metal spiders crawling across them. Outside, the black SUVs spread out. Their doors slowly opened, and more armored aliens stepped out. They formed a half-circle around the tavern, weapons glowing red in the dark. Evan felt fear rising in his chest, but at the same time, something else rose inside him too. A stubborn fire. He would not betray Thor. He would not let these monsters take him. The tavern door suddenly rattled. A deep voice spoke from outside. Human, open the door. We only want the old creature. Give him to us, and we leave you alive. Evan closed his fists and stayed silent. The voice grew colder. If you hide him, we burn everything. Evan backed away from the door, breath shaking. He knew what they wanted now. They were not here for a conversation. They were here to take whatever was inside Rather, the star seed, no matter the cost. He returned to the storage room. Rather looked weaker than before. His skin flickered with faint light. They know you are here, Evan said. But they don't know where you are inside the tavern. Not for long, Rather whispered. Evan sat beside him. Tell me something. Why do they want the star seed so badly? Rather hesitated, then spoke in a low voice. The Iron Crown is dying. Their empire is cracked. Their leaders want power to rebuild it. The star seed can give them that power, new energy, new weapons, new worlds to rule. Why not destroy the star seed? Evan asked. Rather shook his head. A star seed never dies. It only moves from host to host. Evan stared at his hands. And if they take it? They will use it to burn planets, Rather said. They will turn suns into firestorms. Billions will die. Evan closed his eyes. Outside, metal legs tapped on the walls. A spider bot crawled down the window, stopping in front of Evan. Its red eyes glowed brighter, scanning. Rather whispered urgently, Do not move. It senses motion and heat. Evan held his breath. The bot's antenna stretched toward the window, searching. For 10 long seconds, it stayed there, then crawled away toward the roof. Evan finally exhaled. He turned to Rather. What happens if you pass the star seed to me? Rather looked directly into Evan's eyes. You will feel pain like burning light. It will test your heart. If it accepts you, you live. If it rejects you, you die. Evan swallowed hard. He was just a tavern keeper. He had never fought in a war, never held a weapon, never imagined aliens would enter his life. But now, everything rested on him. Rather touched his arm gently. Evan, I chose you because you are kind. The star seed responds to kindness, not strength, not power, only heart. Evan stood up. Then I'll help you until your last breath. But I won't let them take you. He walked back to the main room, grabbed wooden chairs, and pushed them under the door handle to jam it. Then he dragged a heavy table across the floor and blocked the entrance even more. Rather watched with tired eyes. "They will still break in, I know," Evan said. "But not easily." Suddenly, a loud crash shook the entire tavern. One metal spider slammed into the window, cracking the glass. Its legs spread wide as it tried to break through. Its red eyes focused on Evan. Another crash, another crack. Two more spiders joined the first. "Evan!" Rather cried. "They found us!" A shadow moved outside. The leader of the Iron Crown soldiers stepped forward. His armor was thicker, darker, marked with symbols of war. He raised one hand. The spider's paws dude. He pointed toward the tavern door, and three armored aliens marched forward. The first alien slammed its fist into the wood. The door bent inward. Boom. Splinters flew. Boom. The chairs cracked. Boom. The table slid across the floor. And knew they would break through in seconds. He ran back to the storage room and crouched beside Rather. "Listen to me," Evan said. "If they get inside, you hide. Do not move." Rather shook his head. "Evan, they will kill you." "Maybe," Evan said, voice steady. "But if I buy even 1 minute for you, that minute might save this world." The door finally split open with a violent crash. Heavy footsteps entered the tavern. Evan stood between the storage room and the attackers. He was only one man, but he stood like a wall. He had made his choice. The wooden door crashed open with a final, heavy strike. Splinters scattered across the floor like falling snow. 3 armored aliens stepped inside the tavern, their glowing weapons raised and humming with red light. Their metal boots thudded against the old wooden floor, slow and steady like drums. Of doom. Evan stood alone in the center of the room. He held no weapon. He wore no armor. But his eyes were firm. One alien pointed his scanner toward him. A beam of red light swept across Evan's body, reading his temperature, heartbeat, and fear levels. Evan forced himself to stay calm, even though his heart raced. Like a trapped bird, the soldier spoke in a deep robotic voice. "Human, stand aside. The old one carries something greater than your understanding. He belongs to us." Evan shook his head. "No, he doesn't belong to anyone." The soldier tilted his helmet, confused by the human's courage. Behind Evan, the back room door was closed, but the aliens could smell Rather's faint energy. Their scanners beeped louder with each passing second. Another soldier stepped forward. "Move, human. You cannot protect him. You are weak." Evan felt fear twist inside him, but he didn't break. "I won't move." The leader of the 3 raised his arm. His hand glowed bright red, ready to strike Evan aside. But then, crash! A metal spider dropped from the ceiling, shattering the wooden planks as it hit the floor. It landed between the soldiers and Evan. Its red eyes scanned the room, then pointed directly toward the back room. It screeched loudly, a warning signal. A location mark. The soldiers turned their helmets toward the door. Weapons charged. Evan stepped back, panic rising. He ran to the side of the room, grabbed a metal pan from the counter, and swung it at the spider. The pan hit the metal shell with a loud clang, barely leaving a dent. But the spider stumbled back. Confused for a moment, one soldier raised his weapon at Evan in annoyance. But before he could fire, the leader spoke sharply. "Do not kill him yet. The star seed reacts to emotional bonds. If the creature bonded with this human, his death may damage the seed." Evan didn't understand the words, but he understood one thing. They needed him alive for now. The spider recovered and crawled fast toward the back room. Evan threw himself onto it, grabbing its legs. The machine screeched and thrashed, trying to shake him off. Evan felt sharp metal scrape his arm, cutting his skin. Blood dripped on the floor. Still, he held tight. He slammed the spider against the floor again and again. Its red eyes flickered, dimmed, then went dark. The machine collapsed with a metallic groan. Evan breathed hard, dizzy, but he stood again. The alien stared at him with surprise. A simple human, fighting their tracker. Bots? It made no sense to them. The leader turned to his soldiers. Advance! Break the door! Capture the host! 2 soldiers marched toward the back room. Evan tried to stop them, but the 3rd soldier hit him with a hard shove. Evan flew backward, crashing into tables and chairs. Pain shot through his ribs. Soldiers raised their weapons. Rather's voice cried out from inside the room. Evan! Evan pushed himself up, choking on pain. He grabbed a broken table leg and swung it at the soldier closest to him. It snapped instantly against the armor. The soldier knocked him down again. Evan's head hit the floor. The world spun. Through the blur, he saw the backroom door split in half as the soldiers smashed their way inside. He forced his body to crawl forward. He tried to stand. He fell again. Inside the room, Rather tried to use his remaining energy. A wave of blue light burst from his hands, pushing the soldiers back a few feet. But the effort drained him. He collapsed to the floor, gasping. The leader entered the room calmly. "Old one," he said, "your time is finished. The seed is ours." Rather reached out with trembling fingers, trying to crawl away, but he had no strength left. Evan crawled into the doorway, pulling himself up with one hand. His vision was blurry. His breathing hurt. The leader turned to Evan and spoke calmly. "You cannot stop this. Step aside and you live." Evan stared at Rather, weak, shaking, alone, and something broke inside him. A fire, small but stubborn, lit in his chest. "I said no," Evan whispered. The leader sighed. "Then you die first." He raised his weapon. Evan shut his eyes, ready for the blast. But suddenly, a pulse of bright blue light filled the room. The soldiers staggered. Rather lifted his hand weakly, and energy swirled around his fingertips. "Evan," he whispered, voice fading, "if you want to save your world, the time to choose is now." The star seed inside his chest began to glow brighter than ever before, and the whole tavern shook with its power. The blue light spreading from Rather's chest grew brighter, shaking the air like a heartbeat made of thunder. The soldiers stepped back, shielding their helmets. Their scanners beeped rapidly, warning them that the starseed was becoming unstable. Evan forced himself onto his feet. His legs trembled. His vision blurred. But he stood between Rather and the aliens. The leader pointed his glowing weapon at them. "Take the host. The seed is awakening." 2 soldiers stepped forward again. They grabbed Rather by his arms. The old alien cried out in pain, his weak body unable to resist. "Let him go!" Evan shouted. He pushed forward, hitting one soldier with all his strength, but it felt like punching a wall. The soldier didn't move. Instead, he struck Evan with the back of his arm. Evan fell hard, gasping for breath. Rather reached toward him. "Evan, listen, the seed." But he couldn't finish. One soldier silenced him with a metal hand to his mouth. The leader crouched beside Rather, studying the glowing light pulsing through his chest. "He will die soon," the leader said coldly. "Transfer the seed now." Evan forced himself up. Again. He didn't understand all their words, but he understood one thing. They planned to rip the starseed from Rather. "Stop!" Evan yelled, charging toward them again. One soldier turned and fired a warning blast. Red energy hit the floor beside Evan, exploding in a flash of heat. Evan flew backward, crashing into a shelf. Glass bottles shattered around him. The leader ignored him and placed a device on Rather's chest. It locked in place with a sharp metallic click. Rather screamed, his body shaking violently. "Don't touch him!" Evan cried, but the soldiers didn't stop. Outside, engines roared. Evan looked through the broken front door. 5 more black SUVs had arrived. Their doors opened slowly. Dozens of armored soldiers marched out, forming a ring around the Tavern. Red lights flashed from their helmets. Weapons charged. Energy hummed like angry thunder. Rather saw them and whispered, "The full squad. They came for me." Evan's stomach dropped. This wasn't a hunt anymore. This was a full invasion. The Tavern shook as the new soldiers placed glowing devices around the building. Energy fields spread, trapping everyone inside. The air crackled. The leader stood tall and raised his voice. "Prepare extraction. The seed must not be lost." The device on Rather's chest started pulling light from his body. Blue streams of energy flowed into the machine, and Rather screamed again. Evan crawled forward, teeth clenched from pain. He grabbed a broken piece of wood and swung it at the closest soldier. It broke instantly. The soldier kicked him aside like he was nothing. Rather's voice shook with agony. "Evan, the seed. Must choose. Save it. I'm trying." Evan shouted, coughing. The leader's device glowed brighter as it began forcing the star seed out of Rather's frail chest. Evan felt something snap inside him. A wave of anger. A wave of helplessness. A wave of determination. He looked around for anything at all he could use. Then he saw it. An old fire extinguisher lying on the floor. Evan grabbed it, pulled the pin, and unleashed a blinding cloud of white spray. The soldiers stepped back, momentarily confused as foam covered their helmets. Evan used that moment to run straight toward Rather. The leader tried to block him, but Evan slammed the metal extinguisher into his arm, cracking one of the glowing lines in the armor. The leader staggered back, surprised by the force of a human's desperation. "Evan!" Rather gasped. His voice was barely a whisper now. Evan grabbed the device on his chest and pulled with all his strength. The machine sparked. The blue light flared. The soldier screamed, "Stop him! Stop the human!" But Evan didn't stop. He ripped the device from Rather's chest. The moment he did, the star seed burst into blinding light, brighter than the sun. The entire tavern shook. Windows shattered. Tables flipped over. Soldiers fell back from the sudden shockwave. Rather collapsed into Evan's arms, breathing shallow. The leader yelled, "The seed is free. Secure it." But the star seed floated upward, glowing brighter, forming a sphere of blue fire. Rather reached with a trembling hand and touched Evan's chest. Evan gasped as warmth spread through his ribs like a soft pulse. Rather whispered the last words he could manage. "Evan, the seed chooses you." The star seed exploded into light and shot straight into Evan's heart. Evan screamed, his body lifted into the air. His eyes glowed blue. His veins lit up like stars. The soldiers stumbled back in fear. The leader shouted, "Contain him. The human is becoming the host." But it was too late. The starseed had awakened. Inside a human. Asterisk. Evan hung in the air as the starseed entered his chest. His body arched, his fingers spread wide, and a scream tore from his throat even though no sound came out. Blue light poured from his eyes, his mouth. His skin like a living star had been planted inside him. The tavern shook violently. The Iron Crown soldiers staggered backward, shielding their helmets from the blinding light. Rather, barely conscious, watched with weak eyes. "Evan, hold it, let the seed know your heart." But Evan could not hear him. A storm raged inside him. Energy rushed like a river through every bone, every muscle. His heart felt like it was beating fire. His blood felt like lightning. His breath felt like burning wind. He wanted to scream. He wanted to collapse. He wanted to tear the star from his chest, but he held on. When the light dimmed enough for the soldiers to see again, Evan slowly floated down until his feet touched the broken tavern floor. He stood still. His eyes glowed bright blue like two small suns. His chest pulsed with star fire beneath his shirt. Sparks danced around his fingers. The leader stepped forward cautiously. "Human, surrender. You cannot control that power." Evan looked at him with calm, burning eyes. Something had changed. This was no longer the same man who cleaned tables and washed dishes. This was a human holding the power of creation. One soldier tried to approach him from the side. Evan moved. Not fast, not slow. Just impossibly exact. He raised his hand, and a wave of blue energy pulsed outward. The soldier flew across the tavern, crashing through 3 tables before slamming into the wall. The other soldiers froze. The leader aimed his weapon. "Contain him, now!" 3 soldiers fired red energy blasts at Evan. The beams struck him, but instead of harming him, they were pulled into his chest, absorbed like water into dry ground. Evan blinked in surprise. He didn't know how he did. He didn't understand this power, but it obeyed him. For the first time he spoke. His voice echoed like distant thunder. "Leave." The soldiers looked at their leader. The leader shook his head. "Attack." The tavern exploded into chaos. 6 soldiers rushed at Evan. Their boots shook the floor. Their weapons charged with red light. Their armor glowed with battle signals. Evan stepped forward. His feet left small marks of blue fire on the floor. The first soldier swung a heavy metal blade. Evan lifted his hand, and the blade melted into liquid metal before it could touch him. A second soldier fired a point-blank blast. Evan swiped the air, and the blast curved away like a frightened animal. A third soldier jumped at him with a roar. Evan barely touched him, just a tap to the chest, but the soldier flew backward as if hit by a giant hammer. The leader growled in frustration. "He cannot hold the seed. Push him harder." But Evan's body was shaking now. The power was incredible, but it was also heavy, burning, overwhelming. His breath came in sharp gasps. His heart pounded too fast. Rather weakly reached toward him. "Do not fight with anger, Evan. The seed rejects anger. Use your heart." Evan heard these words through the storm in his mind. He closed his eyes for a moment, searching for something gentle inside himself. The same kindness that always made him feed a lonely alien each night. When he opened his eyes again, the blue glow softened, the starseed calmed, but the leader did not wait. He leaped toward Evan with a spear of burning red energy. The weapon hummed like a dying sun, ready to pierce anything in its path. Evan raised both hands. The room exploded in blue light. A shockwave burst outward, knocking every iron-crowned soldier off their feet. Windows shattered outward this time, sending glass flying into the field. The SUVs rocked violently, alarms blaring. Rather shielded his face as the storm passed. When the light faded, Evan stood in the middle of the tavern, chest glowing, shoulders trembling. He had beaten them, but the leader was not finished. He rose from the ground, armor cracked, energy flickering. He stared at Evan with burning hatred. "You may hold the seed now," the leader growled, "but you are still human. You will break." Evan felt a sharp pain in his heart. The power was becoming unstable again. Rather coughed weakly. "Evan, the final battle is here." The leader lifted his weapon again. Evan stepped forward, blue fire burning around him like a living shield. The last fight between a human and the Iron Crown Commander was about to begin. The Iron Crown Commander stepped forward, his cracked armor flickering with red sparks. The air around him trembled from the unstable energy in his weapon, a long spear glowing like a piece of molten sun. The tavern floor burned with every step. He took. Evan stood across from him, breathing hard. Blue light pulsed unevenly in his chest. His hands shook. His vision blurred. The starseed was stronger than anything human bodies were meant to hold. But Evan refused to step back. Behind him, Rather lay collapsed against a crate, barely breathing. His eyes glowed faintly as he whispered, "Evan, Remember, kindness guides the seed. Evan nodded once. The commander pointed his spear. At the human, you should have surrendered. A human cannot carry star fire. Evan steadied himself. Maybe not. But a human can protect a friend. The commander roared and charged. He moved with deadly speed, faster than any creature Evan had ever seen. The spear cut the air, leaving trails of red fire. Evan lifted his hands, a shield of blue light forming around him. The spear slammed into the shield. The ground cracked. The walls shook. Blue and red light exploded through the tavern. Evan staggered, but held the shield firm. The commander swung again, this time from above. Evan blocked, sparks flying in all directions. Each hit felt like thunder against Evan's. Bones. His legs trembled. His heart screamed for rest. The star seed inside him burned hot, too hot. The commander pushed harder. You cannot win, human. Evan gritted his teeth. I don't need to win. I just need to stop you. The commander lifted his spear high, spinning it as energy built at the tip. Evan sensed the power far more destructive than before. If that blast hit him, the tavern would be destroyed. Rather would die. Earth might even be marked for attack. Evan closed his eyes for just a moment. He remembered Rather entering his tavern on cold nights. He remembered feeding him warm soup. He remembered the alien's soft thanks, the fear in his voice, the hope in his eyes. Kindness. That was the seed's language. When Evan opened his eyes, the blue light inside him changed. It softened, warmed, brightened, not like a weapon, but like a living heart. He lifted both hands. The commander hurled the spear blast. The tavern exploded in red energy, but Evan pushed his hands forward, releasing a wave of gentle glowing blue light. The blue wave didn't attack. It absorbed. The red blast vanished into Evan's chest, swallowed by the star seed. His body shuddered, but he stayed standing. The commander froze, shocked. Impossible. Evan stepped forward slowly. You only know force, but the seed responds to heart. The commander roared in rage and charged again, swinging the spear in a deadly arc. Evan moved, swift and steady. His body no longer fought the star fire, it moved with it. He caught the spear mid-swing. The metal burned his hand, but he held it tight. Blue light surged through the weapon, crawling up the shaft toward the commander's arm. The armor sparked and cracked. The commander tried to pull away, but Evan gripped harder. A deep hum filled the air. The star seed inside Evan glowed like a miniature sun. Leave Earth, Evan said, his voice calm but resonant, and never return. The commander snarled. We will never fear humans. Evan's eyes blazed brighter. That's your first mistake. A burst of pure blue energy exploded from Evan's hand. The spear shattered. The commander was thrown across the tavern, smashing through the wall and landing outside in the dirt. He struggled to rise, but his armor was broken, his weapon gone, his strength fading. Evan stepped out of the ruined tavern, blue light swirling around him like a gentle storm. The commander crawled backward, fear finally reaching his eyes. Evan raised his hand, but instead of striking, he let the energy flow gently. A wave of light swept outward, disarming the remaining soldiers, disabling their weapons and shutting down their machines. The SUVs powered down. The spiders fell lifeless. The entire Iron Crown squad was defeated. Without killing a single one. The commander stared up at him, trembling. What are you? Evan breathed slowly. A human. He turned away, the blue glow fading as exhaustion hit him. He fell to his knees. Rather called weakly, Evan? Evan crawled back into the tavern. His breath was shallow. His skin dimmed. The star seed became calmer now, like it understood the battle was over. Rather reached out his hand, touching Evan's shoulder with the last of his strength. You saved them. You saved Earth. Human heart is stronger than any crown. A small smile touched Rather's lips. Then his hand fell. His breathing stopped. Rather was gone. Evan closed his eyes, tears falling silently. The tavern was broken. The night was quiet again. And an old alien who trusted him had given his life to save a world that wasn't even his. Evan stood slowly, the starseed glowing faintly in his chest. He was now its guardian. The legend would spread across stars, the human who saved a star, the tavern keeper with a heart stronger than fire, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again.